Hey, it's Trigger. How are you? And I'm gonna talk to you about the Nephilim Aspergers and my thoughts on both. Plus, I'm also going to, give you my insight as to what I think about each of these things. How it could possibly apply to me and to you. And all on Tuesday. So, yeah, there's a lot to go over. I think what I'm probably going to do first, and I'm going to go through these steps, and then I'm going to give you my, opinions into it. What I'm going to go through first is I'm going to go into the Bible, and I'm going to make that, I'm going to say the little quote that it says about the Nephilim, just to start it off. So, in Genesis chapter 6, the origin of the Nephilim, number 1, it says, "When men began to multiply on earth, and daughters were born to them, the sons of heaven saw how beautiful the daughters of man were, and so they took for their wives as many as they chose. Then the Lord said, My spirit shall not remain in man forever, since he is but flesh. His days shall comprise 120 years. At that time the Nephilim appeared on earth, as well as later, after the sons of heaven had intercourse with the daughters of man, who bore them sons. They were heroes of old and men of renown." So that's where it says it in the Bible. There's not a lot of talk about it. It's kind of one of those things. It's like, what? How? Huh? When did this happen? Especially for me when I read this, because, growing up in my faith, I really didn't read the Bible too much. It was only a couple years, probably about 4 years ago, I started really reading the Bible more. I kind of looked it over in different, passages and sections here and there in the New Testament, and I wanted to really, try to get a good understanding of it so I could, get closer to God. And, I learned a lot about what Jesus did. Came from the fact that he tried to fulfill the Old Testament. He tried to, make it a new, try to complete it. It's like when he said fulfill, he was trying to say, well, what you know about God is 80%. So what I'm going to tell you now is 100%. So if you listen to me, you're going to be getting the full God that, the information on God that, you need to know. So, Jesus, I don't think he really mentions this in the New Testament, but this was the reason why I wanted to talk about this was because I have Aspergers, and I was looking online, and someone even made a comment on my one of my videos in the past, and I looked this up, and it seems like people with Aspergers might believe that we are descendants of Nephilim, because a lot of us, think that we're from a different planet, like we're aliens or something. Now, I don't believe we're aliens. And some of you might disagree, but I don't personally believe in aliens from outer space. I mean, I do believe that there can be alien life forms, organisms on other planets, but as far as a Martian-like creature coming down to Earth, making contact, just don't quite believe that. I mean, unless it's something to do with angels, from heaven, I just don't believe it. I don't think that they would have gotten this far. I think if they would have gotten this far, it would have been a lot more than just a couple aliens here and there, and it wouldn't have been hidden so well. There would have been a lot more sightings, and I'd see an alien almost every other day. So, that's my beliefs on that. But I'm getting away from the topic. But that's kind of what I do. I think people with Asperger's tend to go on and on about certain topics, so I think those of you that are tuned in don't mind it so much. But, those of you that, don't understand, I think you need to kind of understand that. But as far as what, my personal thoughts on it are that it sounds interesting. It sounds like something that I'd almost want to subscribe to and believe. But, there's really no proof on that. It's just kind of a conjecture thing. And, for someone that doesn't believe in aliens to want to believe in that might sound a little weird. But I think it's kind of cool in some ways, to be a son of an angel, part part human. I think that'd be kind of cool. I think that's why there's a lot of people that, are sort of subscribing to that notion, and the fact that, most people with Asperger's seem to be just very, very different from the normal population. It's something that maybe they want to, think that's a part of it. They want to try to put this, put this thing that keeps us away from the, that makes it hard to socialize. They want to put something out there that makes us like kind of above, the rest. And it says men of renown, and it says, what did it say? Men of power, renown. It says, renown, and some people may think that they're talking about giants, and that's possible, yeah. But it could also be people of skill, of certain types of skills. You hear about some people being able to do these crazy things. I think the only skill that I can really relate, that I could say, well, maybe I have something to do with it because I have a skill that other people don't quite have, and one of my skills is guessing things, like guessing numbers of things. And just a couple examples, just this past year I had two different people, buy new lawnmowers. One was a riding lawnmower, one was a walking lawnmower. They each asked me, well, the first one asked someone else, and I answered it, how much the riding lawnmower was, and I guessed $300, and it was $280. And they're like, how did you even guess that? Because they bought it used. And I said, well, I don't know, I just guessed, I guess. I just kind of guessed it. And another one, the push mower that someone else bought that I knew was $50, and he was wondering how I guessed that one too. And he said that it was offered to him for $50, he paid $60, just to be generous, but he wondered how I knew that. And there were other examples too in the past, where I was guessing, certain numbers of things. I can't quite say it came because I grew up watching, what was a show called, The Price is Right? Yeah, I don't think it was so much that when I was younger and I watched that. I mean, maybe that helped me like understand a few, household prices here and there. But yeah, I don't know if that's the case or not. But it's almost something that, it's like you have something that other people don't quite have, and you're trying to figure out why you have it. You're trying to understand it. And I guess, when things, come along like this, you want to sort of, point it out and say, yeah, that's it. That's what's the cause. And so it could just be something that it sounds cool. And this was talked about before. I don't know if it's talked about so much anymore, but it just sounds cool. And, I have that skill. I know that, people talk about it, and that's just something very interesting that I think, is very interesting. And, if you guys want to, research that, you can. I think another thing that I wanted to talk about too is the fact that, as far as I'm concerned, I feel like when I talk about things with people, I tend to talk a little more in detail than most people do. To me, it seems like most people tend to lie a lot more about what they're talking about. They tend to over-exaggerate it. They tend to not give as much detail. It's as if they're just overly afraid of what they might say. It's as if everyone has some kind of overly large secret that they need to hide because they're going to feel embarrassed if they, outed themselves with something like that. And this is one of those things that some people might, think it's really funny and laughable, for me to think there's some sort of connection there. And the thing is, the Bible points out a lot of truths. And, as far as that goes, Jesus dying and resurrecting, that's in the Bible, and that's a belief that you can believe in. And so I believe that. There's a lot of things in the Bible that I do believe, and if God can resurrect himself, and there's that type of power in heaven, and that type, a certain amount of power in angels. I've heard a long time ago that the angels in heaven, the angels in hell, they still have their same amount of power that they have. I mean, that's why I guess you hear about possessions and stuff. But I think that there's a lot of supernatural power that's going on that people don't quite know about. Now, whether I'm related to that or not, it's a little bit of a conjecture. I mean, it's a little bit of a thing like, well, why are we like this and everyone else is like that? And maybe there's a connection here. So I think that's what's going on. But there's really not much proof that I think anybody can really put to the test and say it's that. It's just kind of a cool thing. It's like, wow, maybe I am. It's kind of one of those things. It's like you kind of want to imagine that it's true. But yeah, there's a lot of things in the Bible that people will believe in, and they're very supernatural things that people will believe in. A lot of people will believe in Jesus, that he performed miracles and that he could do this and that and all sorts of stuff. But then like there's a few other points, like things that I don't quite believe in. And this is not relating to the Nephilim anymore, because I've kind of talked about that, but something that I also wanted to talk about was there are some other things in the Bible that people don't quite they don't get into, and they don't want to subscribe to, and they don't want to believe that. Like in Genesis, it talks about Adam and Eve, and how Eve came from the rib of Adam, and some people don't want to believe that. They want to go into this evolution theory, and I think that it's possible for some of the animals to have evolved through stages. It's possible God can do anything. But in the Bible, where Jesus says, or not Jesus, but God says, I made you in the image and likeness, meaning that we act like God and we look like God. From that point, I can't really subscribe to the theory that we evolved from an ape and then we're given a human brain, versus how the apes have their brains and we have larger brains. I think that, there are different types of species of a type of thing. And I can't say apes, we can't classify apes as humans, but they're sort of a subspecies of what we are. And there's no reason to say God didn't make a subspecies of us that were not, spiritually and intelligently as involved as we are. Because I tried to look to see if there's any sort of intellectual difference between apes and humans. And as far as it goes, they can only really reach a third, a 3-year-old status as far as what they can do, but they can't really think for themselves. They can't really ask a question, like where they're trying to understand more about a situation. So I don't think that we ever quite came from that. I think God did exactly say what he said and did what he did, because if you can believe in all the other miracles that God can do, I don't see why there's no reason God couldn't make another human from a rib if he just created us from ash. Since he said, ash, you came from ash and you'll go back to ash. If God can make anything from anything, there's no point in arguing that he couldn't make Eve from the rib of Adam. There's no point in arguing that. There really isn't. I mean, if you just don't want to believe that, that's your choice. But it's what it says in the Bible. And I think there's a lot of modern Christian-like people out there that want to try to solve all these things, and they want to put a name to it, and that's been happening over the years, and people have been getting sucked into this. So they've been getting told this, but these are things that people are telling other people. What it says in the Bible is a completely different thing, and it's up to you whether you want to believe in it or not. But if you're going to believe in that, you're going to believe in certain things from the Bible, then believe in all of it. Believe in all of the things that God said he can do. With the Old Testament, with Moses getting away and them, getting through the waters in the Red Sea or the Reed Sea, parted. God parted the waters so they could walk through. And there's a wall of waves on either side, and they walked right through that. So, I mean, if God can do all things, I don't see why he couldn't do that. I don't think that it's anything insulting to women to believe that they were created out of the bone of Adam, when Adam was created out of ash. And if God said that, they were image and likeness, if he said, well, he did say in the Bible that we are image and likeness of him. So if we're image and likeness of him, we're either image and likeness of him as we are now, or God's a big hairy ape. It's up to you to believe that or not, but he said it in the Bible. We were created in his image and likeness. So if we evolved from apes, then he's just a big hairy ape. And that's the way it is. So I guess that's all I got to tell you. I did talk about, something else besides Nephilim. I hope you, can enjoy this huge commentary. This is kind of a custom game I'm going to be throwing out for you. So I hope you guys liked it. And, don't have much else to say. I'll see you next Tuesday. All right, bye.